Welcome to this video. Yeah, this is a new video about the World Championship match currently played in Sochi, Russia between Magnus Carlsen, the defending world champion, and Anand. Yeah, this is game 8 and it's a color change. Of course, Anand now has white again, and definitely a game where he wants to put some pressure on the defending champion. He needs to get a win badly as he's trailing in the match, and with white the chances are obviously higher than with black. Let's see. D4 again. Yeah, probably as expected. It seems that Anand is sticking with that, having given up on getting anything in the Berlin. So we have D4 again, and Carlsen plays again 2e6. So the Grunfeld in game 1 was probably a one-off, and now he's sticking to what he usually does. E6, however, is not a move that commits to something. It can lead to many openings. And after knight f3, which, to be perfectly honest, surprised me a little bit. Yeah, not that this is a bad move or anything, but it's now the third time that Anand has played this. And I was really expecting a switch to knight c3 at some point to allow the Nimzo, and maybe go for some idea in the Nimzo, just to get the first move in, in a way, at least new move in the match. Get this in first. But okay, we have knight f3 again, and Carlsen plays d5. So he goes back to what he did in game 3, which he lost. Queen's Gambit declined. He had played b6 in game 5, but now goes back to the Queen's Gambit. Yeah, knight c3, bishop e7, bishop f4. So Anand plays the same variation that has brought him the victory earlier. Castles e3, and now comes a slight surprise. Maybe Carlsen plays the move c5. This is not a surprise in terms of this being revolutionary new idea. c5 is the old main line of this opening. This bishop f4, Queen's Gambit declined. In recent years, it was all knight bd7, which has become more popular, where black is trying to prepare c5 in a way, and this way very often white went with c5 himself to prevent this push. So this is how game 3 went. But now Carlsen is doing c5, the old main line. Yeah, and now it goes like this: d takes c5, which is normal. White is playing that all the time. One reason is that if he's not taking, black very often will take himself on d4, which leads to an isolated queen pawn position where it's not that great to have the bishop on f4. So let's say a move like this, black will just take and maybe take here, and then ask white, is this really a good bishop on f4? Don't you want it on g5? Yeah, so d takes c5 is what is played there all of the time. D takes c5. Black, of course, recaptures. Yeah, and here there's a big parting of the ways. White can play a number of setups here. He can start with queen c2, rook c1, bishop e2, many moves, but the main move is the move a3. Yeah, a3 is a good move that has more than one idea. A key idea is that it controls the b4 square, and the most important idea, of course. Why b4? Yeah, one problem that white sometimes has is that he has got the bishop here on f4, and if black goes with queen a5 at some point, this is a somewhat annoying pin here. This, not the bishop here, the pin on the king, or let's say the pinning of the knight with the king on e1. And this is why a3 is often useful. If black would play, I mean, just to make it very simple, there's b4 coming. This is one idea of a3. And the other idea is that white very often wants to play queen c2 and put a rook on d1, either just rook d1 or long castles. And then a3 is also a very useful move, as knight c6 is often trying to attack the queen with knight b4. We can see this now, that after knight c6, which was played by Carlsen, queen c2 was played. And if now a3 wouldn't be on the board, then the move knight b4 would be a constant worry. Yeah, an interesting situation. This is, as mentioned, the old main line of this opening, and for ages now, the most popular move here is Queen to A5. It is played in, I don't know, hundreds of games, and by far the most popular move. Yeah, as mentioned, Black intends to get some counterplay on this diagonal. One idea can be Knight E4, for example, or even Bishop B4. And this is why White very often wants to break this pin. There are many moves, Knight D2, for example, Rook D1, but also, and this is one key problem here, long castles. This move is, of course, very, very sharp. As you can imagine, the white king will sometimes feel not so safe here on the queen side with just 2 pawns protecting it. But white will also have attacking ideas with h4, knight g5 and so on. This is a very sharp position. And it was kind of interesting that here Carlsen, in fact, got in his surprise first. He played the move rook e8 and avoided queen a5. That's a very interesting way to play rook e8. If you look at the database, and one of those big databases that I also have, it has about, let's say, 1,000 games or something with this position, and rook e8 was only played in like 20 or 25 games. So it's a super rare move that probably never was a big focus of Anand's or Team Anand's preparation. However, it's certainly a move that they will have looked at some point. And this is due to one very simple fact. If you fire up this position here on move 9 and give it to a computer like Houdini, yeah, you can guess what Houdini's first choice is. It's rook e8. At least if you let it like check it for 30 seconds. This is what I tried. And this means that this is a move that they certainly will have checked, even if it's a rare move. But if the computer gives it as the best move, I mean, we're talking about very small differences here, like 0.3 to 0.2 or whatnot. But the computer is definitely considering rook e8 as it's a playable move. So this is something that will probably have caught the attention of Carlsen and his team. And they got in this surprise, this new move in a way first, which is, I think, always psychologically important. And also a reason why I would have expected, let's say, at some point, Anand to play into the Nimzo and try to get something new in first. He sort of just repeated what he had done before, and now Carlsen gets in his new idea at first. Yeah. Difficult now. White now has to solve this over the board. What should he do? Yeah, there are many possible ideas. It looks quite obvious maybe to play something like long castles, but it's probably not a move that you are so enthusiastic to make if you think about the situation as follows. Black now put in the new move with rook e8, and they probably have an advantage in analysis there. Yeah, while maybe Anand had seen the move at some point, they didn't really spend hours on it, probably. And therefore you have to decide over the board what is a continuation that lets me play for something but does not risk into run something super aggressive, something super sharp. And he decided to play the move bishop g5, which I think is a pretty good practical decision. It looks a bit strange to move the bishop again, but it sets up this annoying pin and asks Black, okay, what are you doing about this? Very often White is still having this idea to play long castles. For example, if Black would play something like d4 here, which is not totally weird, then long castles is possible. In general, what needs to be said about the move rook e8, what it does, it prepares e5 and d4. So if White plays, let's say, a totally nothing move like this, Black will get in this here and will definitely have an active game. Yeah, look how much progress Black made. Yeah, those two pushes really activated all of his position. So White has to react to it in some way, and I think bishop g5 is a good practical reaction. However, definitely it was a good thing by Carlsen's team to get in this new interesting move rook e8. Not new in terms of novelty, but a new idea or a rare idea. Yeah, Anand now, Carlsen didn't play d4. He just played the move, pretty simple move, bishop e7, just breaking the pin. Okay, not entirely illogical. What now for white? Should Anand castle long here? It's an interesting try. He didn't play that, but long castles would have been interesting. But again, you probably don't want to run into the preparation of your opponent's camp. And it's not so clear that long castles is actually threatening that much in terms of the pressure on d5. It is even interesting here for black to simply ignore the pressure. I mean, black can play a move like queen a5, but there's even such a suggestion by the computer. It should just play something like this and prepare rook c8. If white now tries to win material, I mean something like this for example, then black definitely after coming bishop e6 and rook c8 will have very nice compensation. Look at this excellent bishop. Yeah, those kind of positions, this is nothing that you really want to play over the board when you have the clear indication that it was looked at by the opponent. So Anand played a somewhat calmer move, but still a move that keeps pressure on. He played rook d1. I mean, I just imagine what I would do if I would be in his shoes, and I can easily imagine myself playing that. I mean, I actually play this line as white, so it's not a totally weird idea that I could have this on the board. Yeah, rook d1, yeah, certainly useful, putting it opposite the queen. Yeah, queen a5, this was clear. What else? Yeah, you need to get out of the d file, and with those pinning ideas, black is seeking counterplay. If white is now taking on d5, black will just take with the knight and uses this pin. Yeah, something like that is totally innocuous. Yeah, black has this counterplay and no problems whatsoever. Bishop d7, rook c8 will come. So c takes d5 is nothing. And white, in a way, runs out of useful moves. Or let's say moves that are not bishop d3. A move like bishop d3, if you can, you want to avoid it, as you'd like to take on c4 in one move if black takes, but you're really out of moves now. So bishop d3 was played. Sorry, bishop d3 was played. Yeah, black now went h6. Very useful move. There was this threat on h7, and h6 is good anyway. Bishop h4. And d takes c4. There are little tricks in this position. It's not totally harmless. Let's say bishop f4. Black has e5 all of a sudden. Look at this. And suddenly there's a double attack. Funny. There are little tricks there. Yeah, bishop h4 is more natural anyway, but in this case really the only move that you can play. Yeah, and Carlsen now decides to clarify things. He takes on c4 and plays a6. So what black wants to do, he wants to get in b5, bishop b7, and get his problem piece, the c8 bishop, developed. And normally in the Queen's Gambit Declined, if you solve this problem bishop issue, the c8 bishop gets into play, when you do that and you're not like losing immediately due to some concrete thing, then normally you're out of the woods. And I think this is no exception this game. Anand now played castles. What he could have tried here is to play bishop a2 first. Start with this idea. The idea is to put bishop on b1 and go all the way to h7. Yeah, setting up this idea to take f6 and mate on h7, or let's say almost mate on h7. This is, by the way, a funny little byproduct of this rook e8 move, that the queen invading on h7 is not a direct checkmate. Yeah, bishop a2 was interesting, just delaying castling, but it seems that there's really nothing terrible happening. Yeah, let's say b5, bishop b1, and now black, being faced with this idea, should play g6. He cannot really avoid that. Yeah, something like bishop here runs into this kind of business. Or rook d7 first. No, rook d7 first is even better. Yeah, mate threatened and the bishop hangs. Yeah, this is what white is dreaming about, but black is really just playing g6 and preventing that. It is leading to something quite comparable to the game, and ultimately will probably lead to nothing. It is simply a case where black is too solid. If you look at the structure, it is a totally symmetrical pawn structure almost. C and D file are open, and this is the only factor here. The only important point is temporary piece activity. And if nothing directly is happening in the next 2, 3, 4 moves, then all will evaporate to nothing. Yeah, it was possible for Anand to do that, but it's not a huge difference. It's both does not lead to much. The move castles, what he played, now was answered by b5, of course. Bishop a2. Yeah, you want to go to b1. That's the only idea that there is left. Bishop b7, bishop b1. Yeah, and again, white is threatening to take on f6 and play rook d7. Black has to react to it and plays rook d8. Yeah, that's a funny situation. Very often people are afraid of this queen visit on h7. But if we look at this, let's just have a look. We see that this is really not dangerous. And in fact, if white is deciding to play this little check, then after this he will even be in trouble. And this queen is like a lonesome warrior, not doing anything. Yeah, after just wondering, yeah, this is definitely already worse for white, but not sure how much worse. Definitely, this check is not doing anything on h7. Yeah, note this rook e8 move turned out to be useful. Yeah, it is really a case where black's position is a little bit too solid. Knight e4 was played instead of this, and this is stronger, yeah, knight e4. And Carlsen just replied bishop e7. It is quite funny, yeah, if you now could magically take away the e4 knight, then queen h7, h8 would really be checkmate, but where to put the knight, yeah? On every square where you put it, like here, I mean, like here on c5 or anywhere else, it gets taken and black gets a new square for the king. So there is really no direct way forward. Yeah, white now had two principal choice. He could go to c5, which was played by Anand, or knight g3. This was a slightly more aggressive try, but the problem is a little bit that if you go knight g3, of course, what white wants to do, it wants to get in queen h7 check and knight h5. Yeah, the knight is an attacking piece. Black can play g6. And the problem here might be that a move like h4 looks dangerous at first, but if you think of that with tricky ideas now, the thing is that black has the two bishops, and if white is not succeeding with this attack, and it frankly speaking does not look like that there is something direct happening, then black is enjoying the bishop pair and is probably just better. So this is a tricky situation for Anand. He definitely cannot afford to risk too much and lose a game. If he loses another game and is down 2 points, the match is over. So anything here needs to be considered very carefully. And he at the end decided to play knight to c5. Yeah, okay, this now is answered by a simple reply. This has to go. Takes. Yeah, and now this position can be just described as equal with some precision. Black only needs to play a little bit precisely to make sure he actually makes the draw. There's more than one way to achieve that. I mean, the easiest is probably, yeah, it's debatable what's easiest, but black also could have just taken and played rook d8. There's really not much happening. What he did in that game was also fairly convincing. Carlsen played b4 here, after which the queens are traded, or the queen side is eliminated. We had rook c1. There's really not much else that white can do. Yeah, rook c1. Yeah, I mean, we can look at this, but black's knight here is just far too active. And there are many variations that really kill the whole game with bishop f3, knight d2 and stuff like that. White is not really having any material here. It's just got the pawn temporarily. Yeah, as mentioned, Anand played rook to c1. Rook to c1. Yeah, and now we had further trades. Takes here, and knight e7. Yeah, knight e7, intending to play rook c8. The c file will be the file where everything is going to be traded. And it's really a totally symmetrical position. Yeah, white has a symbolic advantage here with this somewhat more active bishop, but the key point is that black is covering the entry squares securely, and black's king is getting into the play really quickly. So we got this knight traded and got a couple of more moves, and here the draw was agreed. Yeah, this was not a very exciting game for the spectator, definitely, but it's an important game for this match, as it, for the second time, was a game where Carlsen was the better prepared player, definitely, because here he managed to get in the surprise, this rook e8 move first, and it in a way got the psychological initiative in this game. Anand had to think here for a long time. I mean, it's not like Anand spent hours here, but it is good to have this first, get this first hit in first. Even if it's a little one, this little surprise that shows, okay, I have some new ideas as well, what you do have. And this is important. And in the game before that, in the Berlin, it was also Carlsen who had the pressure out of the opening. This is very important for the matches, as all the time it looked like Anand is much better prepared and will get advantages out of the opening. And this didn't happen in those games. It's very difficult often to react to those novelties or those new ideas when you feel like, okay, the principal move might be long castles, but it's not clear, and the other side is probably much better prepared for that. So I think certainly a success for Carlsen, who had absolutely no problem whatsoever with black. He also managed to play this game really quickly and confidently. So yeah, a very good game for the defending champion. Now after 8 games, we have a lead of 5-3 for Carlsen, and this means that he has to survive only 4 more games to keep his title. Yeah, Anand has 2 white games left, and I think in the next game, I'm curious, but the next white game by Vichy, I really expect him to allow the Nimzo, or maybe Carlsen gets in something new in even earlier. We'll see in 3 days. Yeah, for Carlsen's next white game, it seems that he's relying on 1e4. And yeah, it will not be easy for Anand. What is he doing? He had problems in the Berlin. He had this Sicilian problem. Yeah, it isn't clear. So we can be curious about the next game, which will be played on Thursday the 20th. Yeah, okay, I hope you enjoyed the coverage of this game. It admittedly wasn't a very exciting game, but it belongs to those matches, definitely. Okay, thanks for watching.